Hi, welcome to the Run Testers. I'm Nick.
I'm Kieran.
In this video, we're comparing the Nike ZoomX Vaporfly and the Nike ZoomX Streakfly. Okay, the Nike Vaporfly and Streakfly, obviously two of the racing shoes in Nike's range. The Vaporfly is a full carbon plated shoe that traditionally has been kind of used for everything, but I guess Nike is billing a little bit more as a kind of longer distance racing shoe now, whereas the Streakfly is coming in as a lighter, lower profile shoe that's built for kind of 5Ks and 10Ks. It's £134.95 in the UK or $160 in the US. Whereas the Vaporfly 2, the price is kind of, can be a bit varied, but generally the most standard price is £224.95 in the UK, or kind of $240 in the US, though there are usually some versions available for around £210. The Vaporfly is the heavier shoe. It weighs 206 grams in my UK size 9, whereas the Streakfly comes in at just 182 grams, 6.4 ounces. It's a very lightweight shoe. Now, when it comes to the stack height, Nike doesn't really officially list the stack heights of its shoes that well, but the Vaporfly is fairly close to that 40mm limit set by World Athletics. Maybe I've seen things like 37mm. It's not quite as high as the Alphafly, but it's a big high stack shoe, whereas the Streakfly is 32mm at the heel. The Vaporfly is an 8mm drop, whereas the Streakfly has a 6mm drop. They both kind of have full ZoomX midsoles in terms of the foam used. Obviously Nike's top foam, you're also getting it on the Alphafly and some other shoes, but the Vaporfly has a full length carbon plate, whereas the Streakfly just has a small midfoot PEBAX shank. They've both got very lightweight, kind of knit, slightly meshy uppers with offset laces. Everything up top is really designed to be very minimal and keep the weight down, though you do get that kind of little padded ring around the heel there to try and ensure there's no trouble with the Achilles. And then the outsoles are also fairly minimal. You've got kind of 2 strips of rubber at the back and then kind of a more generous forefoot covering to provide kind of grip and traction on your toe off, kind of where you need it most. Start with a word on the fit of the shoes, which I think is slightly different.
Go on then.
All right, I think, for me the Streakfly runs a bit longer than the Vaporfly in my normal size. And actually, I probably could go half a size down the Streakfly because I've got quite a narrow foot. But I'm very happy true to size in the Vaporfly, whereas if I bought the Streakfly again, I would go half a size down just because, like I said, I've got a narrow foot, I get a lot of folding in the upper and there's a bit too much room at the front.
In the Streakfly, I think they're very, very roomy. I think there is a lot of room for your sort of toes to display. They do, even in my size, UK 8.5, I'm edging on it being slightly too long.
Okay.
But they really work with kind of my wide feet for everything else, or sort of my high feet. I can get a good lockdown fit, but I do like the room that you get in the toe box.
Cool.
I'm a little bit jury out. I might go half a size down.
Okay.
If I didn't have as wide fit, maybe some people will like it a bit, the toe box to be a bit closer in. But
and Vaporfly, you're just normal true to size.
And Vaporfly, I'm normal true to size, yeah.
Right, on to the run test. So we, like lots and lots of runners, have done many hundreds of miles of training and racing in the Vaporfly in the last few years, like lots of PBs in the Vaporfly. I think my current half and 5K PB in this very shoe. It's very hard to pick any faults with the Vaporfly. I think it's fair to say.
Yeah.
Really good shoe.
Love it. Love it. My marathon PB is in this shoe as well.
Yeah, I've gone to the Alphafly for marathons now just for that extra bit of massive stack cush, but at the same time I still think this is an amazing marathon shoe. I think it's the most versatile racing shoe going in terms of being great for 5K marathon. I'd use it. I did a 1500 metres on the track last night. I'd have used this shoe if it was legal, probably. So buy this one and don't buy the Streakfly. We'll see you next time on the run test. Like every single one of these verses. This is a great shoe. You've probably already got it. Don't buy any other shoes. Anyway, but say you don't have the Vaporfly, or if you do have the Vaporfly, the Streakfly we've been running in lately is a new shoe, a new type of shoe, lower stack, although it's basically equivalent to the stack of the original Vaporfly 4%. No carbon plate, I think, is very much the key difference between the shoes. You get a very different experience. Vaporfly has always been quite a soft shoe, but this is softness next level, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, you can, the minute you put it on, you kind of feel the foam compress. And then when you're out on the run, you can kind of, I've sort of likened it, so you can almost feel the ground coming up.
Yeah.
Sort of through the foam. It doesn't hit the bottom of the feet, so it's uncomfortable, but you're aware of it. There's a lot more kind of road feel coming through.
Yeah.
I guess because you haven't got that kind of full length plate to put a barrier or to bring a little bit of extra kind of firmness. So you're aware of the foam kind of almost folding in on itself and then coming back to life.
Yeah, I think so. You definitely get more ground contact. I think it is a lower stack shoe, but it feels a significantly lower stack because it compresses so much, and the drop feels a lot lower. Even though it's 6mm drop and an 8mm drop, I don't really notice drop in shoes, but I did a little bit on the Streakfly because it's so soft.
It's definitely more kind of flat feeling. You don't get that tip, on some of the shoes,
Exactly, yeah. And then I think actually it's interesting about it, you get more ground contact. I think it is wider at the midfoot. I know a lot of people don't like how narrow the Vaporfly and Alphafly are at the midfoot. I think you get a slightly wider kind of base here for those kind of fast cornering, on 5k, 10k races. But in terms of pure performance for me, I don't think the Streakfly is really edging it over the Vaporfly on those shorter distances. I've done very hard track sessions in this, running kind of 200m reps, 700m reps, and I've done a 5-mile race. And it's a fantastic shoe. It's a great shoe. I don't think you're losing a lot, but I've then, when I did a track session in the Vaporfly this week, just going to remind myself of the feeling of it. And it's just firmer, faster, more purposeful for me. Then I think this sometimes just gets a bit spongy. So it's great on short stuff.
Yeah.
I just think maybe over anything over 5k, the benefit of the plate and the firmer feel is going to come through for me.
Then you talk about, you have to compare the price of this as well. So
exactly,
there's that to sort of factor in where it's almost sort of double money, right? Not quite, but...
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to talk about sale prices. I'm sure someone can show us a Vaporfly for the same price as Streakfly. Get the Vaporfly then. But, if it is a lot cheaper, and if you are more dedicated to that short distance stuff. So in that 5-mile race, for example, I ran around 26:28. Nice time. It was a PB for me, although I think I have run quicker in a 10k over 5 miles. And I didn't feel like I was losing stuff much to the Vaporfly. It felt great at the start, felt great at the end. That lovely light pickup coming down the home straight. When I feel like I'm going 1,000 miles an hour, and you look at the video and you go, oh, you're running very slowly. You're so tired. But then in that kind of period from Ks 5 to 7, when I just feel when a carbon plate shoe comes into zone, that kind of middle third to last third of the race, you're struggling, but you just keep going. You keep going, and your pace doesn't drop a lot. With this, I think you have to put a bit more work in. Like I was trying to really put some force into the shoe to kind of get that propulsion back from the midfoot, slipping more back on. I'm a heel striker, slipping more back onto my heels with it. Maybe not getting such a smooth transition as I do when I use the shoe for shorter reps, and I'm up onto this midfoot plate, and maybe I'm getting a bit more from it then. Whereas the Vaporfly, you're getting it, pretty much wherever you land. I think the shoe has worked for every runner of any type for many years.
And that's an interesting distinction, because I don't do as much kind of fast sort of track work or even sort of fast short races as Nick does by any stretch of the imagination. And I kind of come at this thinking about what would I use in training for a marathon and then racing a marathon. And I think there's absolute versatility in the Vaporfly that can cover you for most of those things.
Yeah.
And it will work on the track for me when I need to do those kind of interval reps. The Streakfly is a much more kind of sort of fun shoe to do those in, but it hasn't got that versatility and that range, I don't think, to take me up. So if I were making a choice about these shoes, it would be based on that idea of how does it fit for my overall kind of training. And for me personally, I think that's where the Vaporfly probably has the edge. But I love putting those on and go. They're so light and nimble.
Yeah.
And I almost love that sort of feeling of having a bit of ground contact but having to run well to get the most out of the Streakfly.
Yeah, it's a fun shoe for sure. They're hard shoes, but this is a lot more expensive, and it's a different shoe from Nike, and this is coming in a lot cheaper. I'm going to say that still, though, let's put the price to the side. If you're going for pure performance, the best shoe for 5k, 10k races, for me, is still the Vaporfly, which is interesting because this shoe was obviously built directly for it. Now, if you're talking the best shoe for running 400m or 800m reps down the track, maybe the Streakfly is a bit better. And it's very close at 5k, but if you're not thinking about money, this Vaporfly with the shoe I'd get, even if you were just doing those short races.
Yeah.
Then you've got to take on board the fact that it's also a much more versatile shoe that I think is obviously much better for things like half marathon, the marathon, and probably the fact that you probably already have the Vaporfly.
Yeah.
If you're someone watching these videos, you're thinking about Streakfly, there's a good chance you have the Vaporfly, in which case I wouldn't go out and buy the Streakfly as well.
No, I think you've got to be looking for sort of very, very sort of small margins or small differences to go and buy the Streakfly if you already own the Vaporfly. I don't think it brings much more. It won't for most people. If you don't, and you're only going to go short, or you really want something that's really going to work for those dedicated sort of track sessions or short interval. Like I would do mile intervals in this, in like maybe like a 5-mile run where I've got a couple of mile intervals. I think the Streakfly can hold its own, but overall, personally, given the option, I think for its versatility and its range, for me it would be the Vaporfly.
Yeah. Now, if you're coming to this fresh maybe, and you're someone who's always hated high stack shoes, doesn't like the idea of them, doesn't want a carbon plate in their shoe at all, it's a great new option. I will say, it doesn't feel like the Streak, a racing flat. Like it's got a little bit of that feel. You've got more ground feel, but it is so soft and bouncy. It's a very different ride to that. And I think I could sometimes get a bit lost in the foam running hard. Whereas with like an old racing flat, you know, it would smash my legs, but I'd be feeling direct and fast. I feel like be feeling nimble. Whereas sometimes I think when you start to struggle at the end of a long rep, it's just a bit more sponge than I personally would love. But yeah, there is a use case here. If you're someone who's big 5K fan, just shortly, I got friends like that who don't, if you want a protective shoe that can smash your track workouts but leave your legs feeling fresh, this does that in the same way the Vaporfly always has. It just, I think, won't hold up so well on those longer races. And I think I'd probably say the Vaporfly is going to be a slightly more durable shoe. In my experience, the Vaporfly has always held up a lot better than kind of reports have suggested. I've raced happily in shoes kind of 300k in.
Yeah.
I think this is probably going to be something that you'd knacker quite quickly. Just keep it for short workouts, short races. Other than that, we should talk quickly about cornering, because people have always been going on about cornering in high stack shoes.
Yeah.
I have a very shuffly style. I find taking corners in super shoes fairly easy for most runners because I have such a high cadence and like I say, I shuffle like an old man. So I didn't really notice a difference. I didn't think the even though it's got a better ground feel, it didn't really feel amazing on cornering compared to the Vaporfly.
I don't think there's a huge difference to shoes here either. I mean, I'm not necessarily running fast enough around those corners at the moment to put these to the test, but I wouldn't be buying one because it's a better cornerer than the other.
No, it was lovely running 200 metres on a cambered indoor track, but so is the Vaporfly. Alrighty, thanks very much for watching, guys. That is our comparison of these two shoes. We've got so much other Streakfly and Vaporfly content. We've got comparisons to the Takumi Sen 8 from Adidas. We've got a full review of the Streakfly. We've got a full review of the Takumi. We've got loads of videos about the Vaporfly racing, so go watch all of those.
Yeah, we've got some track sessions as well that Nick's done in the Streakfly to see how they hold up. Some mental track sessions.
Disgusting track sessions where I wear really nice panda socks, which are, for those who are asking, are sporks, I think. Anyway, please like, subscribe, ring the little bell, and we'll see you next time. Smash Kieran with a shoe.